what's up everybody? I hope everything is good. Adi here from Hit the Road Music Studio. And we have a new tutorial for you today. A very exciting one. It's with the incredible Lala Tamar, featuring the Queen of the Desert, Mnat Aishata. And I swear you never heard music like this. We have incredible stories, behind the scenes material, and I guide you through the whole mix. This time we will not go in depth, like for beginners, like all the other tutorials that we made. We have a lot of tutorials out on Produce Like a Pro Academy, Produce Like a Pro YouTube channel, and on ProMix Academy. But I am very sure that you will find a lot of incredible tips here to bring all your mixes in every genre further. Because what I'm doing is I show you my thought process behind it. Why did I mix it in this way? And this can be applied to any genre. It's more the thinking process, not just another clicking tutorial where I show you here I put 300 and so on and so on. We talk about the recording process. This was recorded live in the house from Mnat Aishata in the city of Gülmim. Gülmim is the gate to the desert. So it's getting very exciting because she's like a music legend in North Africa for the style she's singing. It's more the Sahrawi style. And yeah, you know, when I'm just thinking back about these adventures, this was just crazy that we ended up there and recorded together with her and Lala Tamar. So I'm very excited, very excited for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. I want to say a big thank you to this wonderful community. The Produce Like a Pro Academy is so helpful. Wonderful individuals who share the same passion are meeting here, helping each other out, having a good time on the Friday Zoom calls. Feedback Fridays are incredible. Thank you Warren, thank you Eric, thank you Lee, thank you to the whole Produce Like a Pro team to bring us on board and allow us to share our story. I'm here in my mobile recording studio in my camping car, and we just spent 2 years in Morocco recording artists, supporting artists, but doing also client projects for artists all around the world. So it's pretty exciting. This video was a paid project. Lala Tamar, she have Moroccan roots but grew up in Israel. She's from Israel, and we recorded this during the worst time of the pandemic, actually. Like, there was the lockdown. After this we could move again, so we traveled with Tamar for 1.5 months in the camping car just to visit people, record bands, and write our track We Are One. There is a full mixing tutorial for that one on YouTube. We Are One mix breakdown. Check it out. This is really cool. And check out our single that we brought out also on Spotify. We had radio plays in Spain and Morocco. Anyway, let's go back here. So we had like the first meeting with more people in the city of Assa, in the old town. Like, it was an old village with houses hundreds of years old. And the #1 rockstar, Jibara from Morocco, invited us to a music video shoot. We hang out together. We don't have video material from it because it was a bit risky to film, you know, like, hey, we are all hanging out here. And we just enjoyed the time with Jibara. He was playing guitar for us. We were sitting by the fire, burning the palms in this old, surrounded by this old stone houses, eating like kings. Like, I got like 2 kg of couscous with vegetables. We are not eating meat, and they gave us food all the time. Like, it was incredible. And it was a music video shoot with Jibara and Mnat Aishata. So Lala Tamar asked her if she wanted to make a music video. She had a little budget for this Israeli documentary. I'm just thinking that I don't lose the because so much happened, I'm always jumping from story to story, so you don't get confused, and I don't get confused as well. So she asked Mnatai Shatta if she want to record a music video for this budget, and she said yes, of course. Tamar was lovely scene because the borders between Israel and Morocco opened now. Finally, people can travel there. There were 2 people from Israel, Tamar and another guy, and his name was Guy. And we met both of them and traveled with both of them and hang out, and it was just incredible. And there were a lovely scene there, and respected for her talent. Tamar is very respected for her voice, for what she's doing there, and for her latest LP, singing in Hakatia, a dying language that was giving further from between the women of the north of Morocco. And Tamar studied this forgotten language, this lost language, and made a full pop album with it. You can check it out there. It's called Lala Tamar. It's self-titled. And they wrote the song on the spot. Like, Tamar woke up every morning. She wrote the lyrics. She asked my girlfriend, Kasha, like my girlfriend, my life partner. We are 10 years together now. And they checked a little bit here and there. And we drove to Mnatai Shatta, to her incredible house. Like, there are pictures. She was singing for the King of Morocco. She was singing all around the place. Like, she's one of the most famous singers in Morocco. Like, Mnatai Shatta is incredible. And the apartment looked like a normal block, like a block house. But inside it was mind-blowing. Like, you go 3 roofs up, and on the roof was a haima. And the haima is a Moroccan tent. The traditional Moroccan tent, but it was big and had this psychedelic patterns there. So we carried all the stuff up there, you know, and set up the studio, asking what kind of instruments will be there and so on. And what was incredible is Mnatai Shatta, she's a lady. She has such an attitude, and wow, we felt so welcome, and it was just an incredible experience, you know. She hire people to make tea. Like, the tea in Morocco is legendary. It's like a part of the culture. So the guy is just there and making us tea all the time, bringing snacks, almonds, chocolate, and so on, while we were setting up everything. As I said, it was the gate to the desert, and it was so damn hot in this tent. Here's a little bit of behind the scenes material before we jump into the mixing.
نقول احنا 4 مرات يسكتوا عنا تلخبط. لا هو لا تسكتوا. غادي معاه. انا معاه. الزم حلا غير الشرجم
تعال هذا ودير الرواق بلاصتو
هو تعلم
يا والله موسى علي مسيك انا خير الله موسى
انا قال مصطفى عبد القادر
قالها لي حافظ قالها لي مش موسى علي
سو كامل يحل هذاك الشيء.
So what we did is we recorded 2 singles, one for Lala Tamar and one for Mnatai Shatta, and as a bonus, she absolutely loved my girlfriend, and they were writing a song on the spot for her. The song that you hear and mix today was finished on the spot. Like, they took 1.5 hours extra, bring in the band, Tamar showed her idea, and then they just rehearsed it like for 1.5 hours, wrote all the parts, and did this. And this is the third take that you are mixing here after they wrote the song. So yeah, incredible musicians. I hope you have as much fun as I have. During the mix breakdown, I will give you some other tips, how we recorded the instruments, which mics I used, why I used them. We will learn how to clean up live performances, to make them work, and how to work with the bleed. And what else? I think that's it. Yeah, we will talk about these points. And yeah, I'm very excited. Thanks for tuning in. And let's jump into the mix. All right. Let's jump into the mix. Let's see what we got here for you. At first, a little bit about the song. I'm working in Reaper. And I didn't make any special templates here or whatever. It just looks as it comes. It's very easy going for me. Lightweight for the laptop and works incredibly fine for me. So let's have a little short listen about the track. This is the verse. That's the verse. Backing vocals. It's funky guitars that I love so much. Guitar. Room mic. The loudest part here. And here Lala Saleh. And when you hear this track and see the song structure, like we have an intro, we have a verse, we have a chorus, we have a solo, we have a verse, we have a chorus, we have a verse. What we got here? A solo, verse, long verse, chorus, solo, chorus, solo, end. So this is the blues. This is where the blues come from, and you can hear it in the voice. This is the roots of blues music, and blues music is the roots of pop music and rock music. So this was the exciting thing of traveling to Morocco, to really discover where our music from today is coming from. And this voice is just so powerful. So I structure my sessions. I have the percussion section in a separate bus. I create buses. It means every element, here we just have the drum and the percussion. They get treated individually and then go into a bus, like here the percussion bus. The same is with vocals, backing vocals, guitars or string elements, and later we have the effects. So it's a very small session. It was a live session, so there is not much to do, but a lot to take care of. Let's start with the percussion. And for the percussion, we had like a big old desert drum, like dum 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 dum. And you can imagine when recording live, like the bass frequencies are everywhere. We recorded a lot of condenser mics, what is not recommended for live sessions. But Tamar wanted her favorite mic that I have, and I thought, why not? Let's try it. We will make it work somehow. Usually, when recording live, try to choose dynamic microphones. I chose anyway condenser mics because I'm a bit crazy and sometimes I try some stuff, you know. That's live. But for this big drum, I used AKG D112. It's a kick drum mic. Or you can use it on bass. It have a very nice... It works very nice with bass frequencies. And I just pointed it, like I let him play. And what I do usually, I take the mic, like in the hand, like this. Where we got the mic here. I don't have a mic here now. But let's say this is the mic. I put my hand here for bass elements, very bassy elements. And then I move around, for example, this drum. Let's say we have a tom, something that have a very bassy resonance, because you can feel the resonance on the back of your skin. So there where I have the best resonance, I know there is the best low end, and then I just hold it, lock the mic stand, and leave the mic as it is. And this is what I did here. So we have a very, very massive low end. The second percussion wasn't intended to be there. There came the producer from Natai Shatta, but for I don't know which reason, he was not allowed to be in the video. His father forbid him to be in the video for this particular day, and we respect every decision on this planet. But what he did is he guided the session a little bit more with Tamar and Natai Shatta, that the song have a beginning and the ending as well. What he did, he had the metal plate and the salt and this thing is for salt and pepper, you know, to put salt and pepper to your food. And he just put the rhythm, but he was in the back of the tent, so nobody can see him, but you could hear him a little bit. And I didn't know about it. So we recorded the first take, and I hear him in the back like ticka ticka ticka. You can hear it here. He was singing also a bit in the background to show the guys. To show the guys, like, okay, now is backing vocals, now is the verse, now is the chorus, now you should sing, and so on. He was directing the whole band. But I loved the sound of the salt and pepper. So in the second take, I just put the SM57 on top of it, just to record it as well, and put it back into the track. And together we have a nice rhythm section actually. Boom, boom. Bop, bop. This hypnotic rhythm, you know, like ticka-taka, 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 ticka-taka. Ah, I can't get enough of this. So, what we did here with the percussion. So let's turn the processing off. Let's have a listen here. And I have to say that I already liked the initial sound as it was. So let's have a look what I did here. First I had some input effects, because sometimes they got crazy, so I put the limiter so it's not distorting heavily. The same here. I think everybody got the limiter. Yeah, everybody got the same limiter, the A2 limiter. A2 Ultra Maximizer from Waves, I think it's the name. And yeah. So I start every mix with the foundation, that's the percussion, the rhythm section. And what I added here, at first heavy compression, because it was too dynamic here. I wanted really to control this dynamics and make it even. Though it sounds a bit counterproductive, when you have a live performance you want all this dynamics, but here I wanted the real doop doop, doop doop. The second element here is tone shaping. So here I'm using the SSL 4000E plugin, and I'm boosting a bit top end, like 4 dB on 2K, just to brighten it up completely. Because these rhythm elements like kick drums, toms and whatever, they have a lot of punch in the top. Like if you only boost the low end, you can mud it up and they will not have this presence. So keep this in mind when working with low endish punchy instruments, to also take care of the top end. We are compressing minus 3 dB just on the top again, boop, boop, just to tame it a bit more. And I'm boosting almost 2 dB on 220 Hertz with a wider Q. Just to get, I found like there is a nice tonality of this drum. And then for more presence, boosting 2.6 kilohertz, almost 6 dB. Here. So at first compressing heavily, then I do the tone shaping this time, and then I compress it again. To make it a little bit more pumping. And it won't sound perfectly now on its own, but this instrument and this mix was done with every element inside. So I'm not isolating elements and then stack them together like a puzzle, especially with these live performances. I'm just listening to this all. Okay, when I have to make a cleanup, I go to the vocals, I check the vocals, see what I can do here. But like the drums, like the percussion, I put the elements all together and just mix accordingly. So the element was still going down here. Let's have a listen in the whole track. It was too present, and I don't know why actually. I just compressed more out of it to have like the because I pushed the volume, of course, now it's way too present, but you hear how it's coming forward when using the CLA 76. Then I'm limiting a bit more. The limiting is just a safety, because here is a part where he gets crazy. And the limiting didn't do much here, so I just put it down manually. Then I wanted some more tone shaping. Probably I just checked how it's sitting in the mix. This is stuff that I did afterwards. And this is a little cut on 100. On 100 was a crazy build-up, so I just cut it a bit with a white cue. And one of the tricks that I do all the time on percussive instruments, especially on traditional instruments, or when you have instruments, let's say like a cajon, even the tambourine, if the tambourine is going down for whatever reason, because the tambourine is usually always audible, but let's say a cajon, wooden drum instruments, timbales also, for example, stuff like this. You can use it on snare drums, anything. To put saturation there, or parallel distortion. What I'm having here is the Isotope Trash 2 plugin, and it have a dry-wet mix knob. I always use the tape saturation preset. And it cuts a bit of the transients and make it more present in the mix. It gives more of the harmonic saturation. You know, every instrument have a harmonic series. This is why everything sounds different, because every instrument have a different harmonic series, and the saturation can emphasize this difference and bring your elements further in the mix. So this is what I'm doing with the drums. Now let's check the percussion. Percussion, let's call it salt and pepper. And here I'm using, let's listen to it alone. Not this one. So ringy, man. So what I'm doing here is just pushing top end and the mids, like the higher mids from 5K. I'm boosting 5.3 dB just to give it more presence, you know? Like with the top end, you control and generate presence. Something is closer in the mix. But be cautious, because when you push too much top end on every element, everything will be up front and it can be too bright. So really take care which elements in your mix get this presence and which not. I'm boosting 4.5 dB on 3K, and you know it's a salt and pepper thingy on the metal plate, so there is no magic formula. This is what I found out, what is working for me, and how I found these things out. And I'm compressing it up to 10 dB or so. Just to bring it forward. You hear how the ambient, like with the compression, with heavy compression, ambient is getting forward as well. And you might not be used to it from the record studio. You want everything as separate and clean as possible. But for me, this ambient and this heavy compression glues those tracks together. Yeah? We have to switch our mindset. This will, when mixing these live performances, this will glue your performance together. And this is a big tip, because I saw many live performances, they were done in the wood and so on, and they sound like, okay, here's a guitar, and the guitar is like visually, you know, here's the frame, so here's the guitar and nowhere else, and here's the bass, and here's the vocals with some reverb, where you can often hear that it's mechanical reverb, nothing natural, because it was in the forest. And here is the percussion element, and they sound like separated. But to make live tracks work together, you need to glue them with bleed and heavy compression. So, no wonder that we have another compressor here. I can't stop dancing when hearing this, you know. So we're just compressing. It's a very slow release time. So you see the needle is all the time pushing down, just pushing it down here. And then I just do some tone shaping. I had too much, and this was also a live decision. Like when I listened to all the elements, there was too much of this heavy drum there. So I'm just cutting it. And here was a crazy ringiness by around, whoop, it jumped back here, 486. And here, without this one, you can hear this drum, this percussion just taking all the space from our salt and pepper guy. And so I'm just cutting the low end. And then I wanted a bit more presence on 3.6K. And then came the fine tuning after every element was mixed. Like this was probably made afterwards to give the final touches, just cutting 1.5 dB on 400 Hertz. Together with this. And you can hear Mnatai Shatta and her powerful voice in every microphone as well. Then I go to the mix bus and do the final touches. Like this is something I do on many percussion elements. It's a channel strip from Black Rooster Audio. It's called Edelweiss, and I'm just giving a little bit of this high-ish frequencies, high shelf frequencies, high-ish. Here I wanted to add more mids, lows, low, but not the real highs. Without, with. I just love what it's doing with my percussions, and it's giving a little bit more presence and bring it further, more forward. And at the end is a limiter, so nothing is peaking here. After all this circus, we have my parallel percussion, parallel compression track. And I'm routing the elements drum and salt and pepper individual here. Let's see what I do here. I use the sidechain high pass filter, use the compression, taking care that the level is good, the input level. You control the input level. I wanted more treble here. You can choose the routing. And yeah, I just boost 2 dB on a high shelf. I take a bit presence out by 1.8 kilohertz. And I'm cutting the bass because the bass was everywhere in the whole record. So we're cutting the bass here. Make it a bit wider. And blend it back in. Thought? You hear more of the top end gets emphasized, so the rhythm is better in the track. You see it together? Thought? With? There it is. This is something that I hear on many mixes from younger engineers. You have the track. I would get the track like this. And I feel some weight is missing, some element that brings all the other elements together like a unit. And this parallel compression can help it. Listen with. The song is breaking together. Like it's breaking down. It's like something is missing there, an element is missing there. And if something is missing there, try to put some parallel compression with percussion elements, something that can fill out the whole field and glue this song together to a full unit. Reference tracks are always very helpful in this process. So check it out if your tracks are lacking something. It's something that it's hard to explain because we hear it. It's something you hear and that you can perceive. And ear training will help you doing this. And discovering these missing frequencies. When you have ear training software, it will play your favorite songs and cut some frequencies, and you will hear that something in the song is missing, that this weight is missing. And this is one of the elements that can help you to glue your tracks together, parallel compression. We don't have a bass this time. Usually I would go percussion, bass to have the rhythmic foundation, but here the rhythmic foundation is totally percussion. So the next most important element sorry, are the vocals. And the vocals needed a lot of love because we recorded with a condenser mic. You have here the tracks called Vox S, Lala Salem, Vox Salem. Mnatai Shatta is the band name, but her name is Salem, Lala Salem, Mrs. Salem. And we have Lala Tamar. Tamar chose her artist name to be Lala, Lala, Mrs. Tamar. So this is more clear for you. And back vocals, I forgot the nice guy's name, so I just called it back vocals. Yeah, but let's listen to them together. And what you noticed, we have the drum here. Because the drum sound was tricky. Let's listen to the drum with the vocals. And now without it. You just have more presence again. So I'm using elements from other tracks to emphasize specific elements here. Now the audio puzzle started. Anyway, let's see what I did here. So they are buzzed again. Let's listen to Lala Salem, clean. And as you can see, I didn't took care and it clipped. Because you have a very dynamic voice. So it clipped, but it was the best performance, so we kept it. Now with. Again in solo, maybe not the most beautiful sound, but in the mix it works. And this is the beauty about it. So the first thing I'm doing here is tone shaping this time. I'm cutting low end, 71 Hertz, though she have an incredible bass voice. And for the vocal recording, I used the Sennheiser X1. Sennheiser. SE Electronics X1 dynamic condenser microphone. Blah. Totally hyped today. And she had an incredible low end, so I don't want to cut it, though the percussion was there. The top end was crazy. So I cut some top end here by 16.7K. It's a shelf. Just cutting it. And then bringing a little bit back, 2.4 dB by 5.8 kilohertz. There was a little bit too much presence on the 4.7 kilohertz. So I took a narrow Q and just cut it. Let's listen. You hear? I needed to tame this. The next thing, compression. Pre-dynamics. It means the equalizer is at first and then it goes into the dynamic section. We're compressing up to 10 dB here, like really squashing it, cutting some more low end. So there was, I love the low end here with the filter, but probably later in the mix when the drums came in, we just had to cut it again because the drums went too crazy. And just cutting 1 dB on 1.2 kilohertz in a narrow cube. White cube. This is something that I call with my friend the digital harshness. It sounds like through a phone. Why is it like this? Our ears react to the frequencies by 1 kilohertz, 2 kilohertz, like in the mid-range. That's why the phones usually don't have much low end or high end, because in this range, and this is why it's called telephone effect, in this range our ears react better. This is a natural process. When we are children cry and scream in this frequency, so we are more alert and more sensitive to this frequency. Here it was too much, so I cut a little bit. Here I had the compressor that I'm not using at the end. I probably was just playing around. I used the VLA 3A again. Just compressing in the loudest part -1 dB. Then the Omega transformer model 458A. And this I really like. Let's check it out. Now with, you hear still a lot of top end there, but it's recorded that way. And I like the transformer. I don't know exactly what it's doing, but it always brings my elements further, like forward in the mix. It has some magic powers. To hell with magic powers, let's listen and compare. It's a very clean voice. I think it's adding more distortion there, like a little bit more nice harmonic distortion what brings in general everything more forward. It's more or less the same principle like we did with the percussion before. Then what I love to do is the J37. I wanted more low end back, so I chose the 888 formula. And thanks to the low end that's coming back, it sounds smoother again. So we are bringing the vocals back to a good level. We compress them heavily, then we process them so they sound present, full and wide. And the way I imagined it, like not imagined it, but remembered it from the session. And then we smooth it out again so it sounds also nice to the listener. Then at the end just a limiter to avoid possible peaks. Now we go to Lala Tamar and her beautiful voice. You can hear again the elements in the background. We had the Audio Technica 2050 mic with us, with processing. I'm not a fan of the Audio Technica 2050 because it always put too much of the top end there. It's not working for me, and I'm happy I got now some other microphones that we tested with Tamar already, and yeah, we switched. What I got here is the DPR 402, a compressor with a lot of knobs and a lot of possibilities, because you can compress specific frequencies, and it have a built-in de-esser, compressor, a white de-esser, and many more. So what I'm doing here is I think here she goes louder. Okay. I'm just compressing a little bit. It's not even touching it. Here you have the gain reduction in dB, and we just use it as a de-esser for the harsh S's. Then I go into tone shaping again, boosting 5.8 kilohertz, 4.7 dB, cutting a little bit of the low end. This time boosting 4.7 kilohertz. So probably I just copy pasted the EQ from Lala Salem and put it to Tamar. Compressing 3 to 6 dB max. Without. 2.6 dB on 1.2 kilohertz in a wide Q. I wanted more of this little bit nasal frequency here, and bringing a bit bass back because it wasn't that heavy from the percussion like in Salem's mic. Because Lala Salem was sitting in the corner, so we have a ugly bass reflection there, so we had to cut it. The next one is the VLA2A, and I really love it on vocals because it brings also a nice low end back. Put it here. Without. You have more top end, and this one balance it back. Then we have the Lindell TE100. Let me just see what I did here. I did absolutely nothing with it. I probably just put it because it gave something to the sound, or it changes a little bit the lower mid-range and gives again more presence to Tamar's voice. We have something here on 060, this button is plugged in, but Lin means it's just bypassing. So this one is completely on bypass. Next one is Radiator. when thinking now, I like it without the radiator because it's killing her voice a bit. Like without the radiator, it's more natural sounding. With the radiator, maybe more exciting. You have more of this top end, this brittle. I'm cutting a little bit bass, putting a little bit more treble back, and it's punching here to the red. The last thing here was the Puig Child. It's a Fairchild plugin from Waves, and let's see what I'm doing here. What it's doing. So I'm choking her vocals. I don't know if it's necessary. Let's listen again in the mix. Without. Brings her vocals again more to the foreground. Now she's here. Without. You feel the jump back a bit. And I'm not adding gain or something. It's just the compression, and the compressor have its own tone. Check it out for yourself. You can always download the demo. In general, if you see any plugins here, don't just go and buy them. See what you got and how you can bring the same effects with the plugins that you have. Because I think there is a lot of marketing involved. You know, the plugin companies, they need to sell. They have incredible products, but you don't need all of them. Yeah, you don't need all of them. And just see what works for you and how you can get to the same point with a different plugin or a different plugin version, and to really find out the differences. What I did, I downloaded demos of couple of compressors, let's say LA3A emulations. Then I downloaded the demos, I tested them on the same element with the same settings and wrote down the pros and cons. It takes some more time, but it can save you a lot of money, and you learn more about your craft at the same time. So this is one tip. Don't run and buy any plugin that anybody is praising to heaven. Just when it makes sense to you and if it helps you to make better music or mix better music. So we got this, and I pan them like Lala Salem is 3% to the right and Tamar is 10% to the left. The next one is the backing vocals, and this have a little bit treatment. And he got the SM57 in front of his in front of his face. Of course, I gave him an SM57 for the backing vocals, and it worked perfectly fine. I panned him 17% to the left, so it fits more to the video. Like you have Lala Salem, Lala Tamar, it's more here and the guy is there, because the song had to make sense with the video as well. Let's listen without. Very low voice, like, is it bass? Bass or tenor? I'm not sure here. It sounds like a bassy voice. And what I just did? Giving some more top end from 5.8K. I just copied the same settings from Lala Tamar. It's exactly the same compressor. And this one also. Compressing 1 dB here. Put a little bit. Just hear him a little bit in the background, but giving a great ambience. And we wrote everything to the parallel compression, before we route to the power compression, here is something on the bus. We're just using a little bit of RVox 3.9, minus 3.9, compressing maybe 3 dB, and adjusting the gain, and have a limiter just for safety. For safety, and sometimes I use it as a volume control. So you see the limiter is on, I just put it minus 2 dB down. So I have the fader always up, so I have control on my volume. It's easier for me to see. Like I put everything on unity gain, on the same gain level, like as I like it, with the plugins, and later I can do fine tuning with the faders. Then everything gets routed individually. You can see La Salem is fully routed here, Tamar a little bit less, back vocals less, and I'm compressing it with the VLA3A, like heavily. I love this plugin because it only have 2 knobs, how much I want to compress and how much gain I want to bring back. And it gives me a wonderful consistency of the vocals, like I have more of this low end again. You can hear it compressing hard. Listen without. And now with. There it is. Wonderful. It's the same like with the percussion with the drums. Those elements get more consistency and weight in the mix, and they sit more forward. Like it's grounding them a bit. It gives them more fullness and richness. And this is very important for these vocals, especially in this crazy recording environment here. The next one, I called it string, guitar, sitar. The next one is a traditional Sahara string element, instrument, and I don't know the name. I forget it all the time. And it's a interesting instrument because it's a piece of wood, like a box of wood, but it's in like when you paint your car, it's like in car paint, like killing all the resonances of the wood, the natural resonance of the wood, and it have almost like not metallic strings, but the strings are more like nylon. It was a crazy instrument, and it got a piezo pickup under the bridge and goes into an amp. Let's have a listen to this. This is the guitar and the element. The rhythm is so cool. And now alone. It's the craziest sound and way to play it. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I love it. So let's see what I did here. We had a microphone, and probably it was a SM57 in front of the tiny speaker. And we went direct out. It's the DI signal. DI signal is super clean and incredible. And the amp. And the amp captures also a little bit of the guitar amplifier. So it glues the elements together again. That's why we panned this one hard, like 78% to the right, and the guitar is 82% to the left. And this makes a wider field because both elements are in both mics, so it makes the field somehow wider and glues the track together again. And what I did here for the processing, this is without processing. You can hear some clarity is missing there, something is, it's like a cloud over it. And this is always a specific frequency. And I'll show you which one. First I'm doing tone shaping. I boost 9.9 kilohertz shelf by 8.2 dB. But I'm cutting also everything up to 6.7 kilohertz. Like I'm cutting and boosting at the same time. So I change the shelf and how the equalizer works and resonate with the instrument, and it just have this wonderful effect. Without. I'm cutting low end here because I don't want too much of this low end. It's a bit muddy and I want to reserve it for the drum. I boost 7 dB on 6.4 kilohertz in a very wide range. That's where the tone sits. And again, there is no formula. There is nothing that I could check on YouTube or whatever, like where is the frequency for this? You just figure out the frequencies. You can sweep around and find the sweet spot. Maybe you find a different sweet spot than I do. And this is so cool because, I can't wait to hear mixes. I didn't say it at the beginning. When you mix this track, please send it over to me and I'm more than happy to hear what you have done there and give you feedback. So find the sweet spot. This is an incredible training to find the sweet spot on elements that you never, on instruments that you never saw before. How do you record them even? Just put the SM57 in front of them. This is what I did here. Like another SM57 in front of the mic amp and the DI signal. We are boosting more 1.7 kilohertz, 5 dB. And then we are boosting some heavy low end here. Because without low end, it sounds too skinny. Let's put it back as it was. So I'm boosting 7.7 dB. And this is what many people forget, that there is tone in the low end. We don't want to make it muddy. This is why we are cutting it here. Yeah, we want to make space for other elements, but there is a tone in the guitar, in this instrument that I still don't know the name yet, in a Zitar, everything what is a string instrument have a specific frequency in the low end area. So check it out. Then we are cutting again, and these were moves that I did later in the whole mix. Probably just to clean up the low end again a little bit. But we still have the tone here. We still have the tonality, yeah? We had too much of 500 Hertz. You hear? So I just cut it and brought more of the presence by 2.6 kilohertz. Then cutting a little bit of top end with the API 560. And this I like because it goes in octaves. So I'm boosting 2 dB on 2K, 4.6 dB on 4K, 4.8 dB on 8K, and then doing nothing here actually on the top end. Sorry, my fault. And a little bit on the 1K area. And it goes also way forward, but it fits, it glues together with the rest of the elements, with the voice. It supports the voice. It don't cover it. It just supports it. And this is what we want to achieve. To have clarity in every instrument, but that they support each other and not cover each other. So that's the treatment for our guitars. At the end, we are going to another compressor. Just giving it some more excitement here, you know, just to bring it bring it further in the mix. I really, really love the effect. Let's check how it sounds in the mix in general. Yeah, I really like it. So just heavily compressing again with a slow release time, and it's just pushing it further forward. The next one we have is the electric guitar. And the electric guitar on its own, it's the Sahara Blues. Here I'm processing the cabinet mic because the sound was cool. Here is using a flanger, and this is a typical effect for the Sahara, that you have a flanger there to get this little bit psychedelic sound, you know. And I'm cutting the low end and boosting 2K for more presence. You can hear how it's popping out. And then in the bus processing for the guitars, again cutting more low end. What can happen with flanging effects or choruses and so on that are directly on the guitar when you record it that way is that the low end can be a bit too muddy when not set up in the recording phase. So what I could have done is just cut some low end there and record it cleaner, but they are used to this heavy low end, so I couldn't do it. Good, we have post-processing, post-production, so just cut the low end later in the mix, and they really liked it. I'm cutting 360 also. It's a little bit too much here. It's like a blanket over the guitar. Sometimes you need this frequency, but here it wasn't very helpful. And then boosting 4 dB on 3K in a wide cue. There is the presence, and I want the presence in the mix for this element, so I'm just boosting this frequency. Then I do some more tone shaping. I'm cutting everything above 6.7K, cutting more low end, just to clean it up more, and then boosting 7.2 dB on 9.7K. Just a little bit more top end here to make it more airy. And to make it more airy, so what I mean with making it more airy, just to give it a little bit more presence again and make it more shine, make it more clean. I'm boosting 4 dB on 6.4 kilohertz in a wide cue. So you got really this guitar tone out of it. I'm boosting 11 dB on 1.6 kilohertz. Now you have this clean guitar tone, but I wanted it like spiky, you know, I wanted it up front, man. I wanted that it drives with the rhythm. And then we get some low end back here, 7.7 dB on a shelf, everything by up to 160 Hertz. Because without it's too skinny. And then a little bit of compression, 3 to 6 dB. Pushing it through a next compressor again. My favorite guitar compressor actually. On the peaks, when he's getting louder, you see how it's pushing it down a little bit. And then the API. Got the boost on the top end, boost on 8K, boost on 2K, 1K. Probably this was done in the mix later. Without this, it's really disappearing. You can hear how it disappears. But with... And like this, the elements getting their place. these decisions are really based when mixing this live. Again, like when I'm listening to all the tracks, like, oh, I want this guitar more there, but it could pop out, up a little bit, playing around with the frequencies, finding the right one, and when it sits there, don't touch it anymore. Both string instruments are in this guitar zit bus. I called it zitar quickly to remember that this is not the guitar like the normal electric guitar. Though he don't have a normal electric guitar as well. This electric guitar is specially built for this guy to play microtones. And I think I have a video where I go closer here, you will see it. It's not fretted like the normal guitars, like even. You can see different fretting there. And it's specially built for this guy.
مليح نافرك منها. تدخل مع راسك.
تمرة تمرة المعزة انجليش
معزة جوت
جود
جوت
en français le chef
شيف ما عرفتش فرنسي ولكن كنتيق فيه
هذاك السي الفرماسي نعطيك
He's actually one of the pioneers playing electric guitar in the Sahara music. Oh, I just got a little bit compression here. But don't even use it, so I just use it again for tone control, for volume control, not tone control, to tame it down and have my fader on 0. The whole soup gets routed to the guitar's parallel compression bus. And it's again just to give the weight to the instruments and blend it back in the mix with the gain knob, pushing it down up to -7 dB. And later, because you could hear more of the drum added up in every element, it was the most present element in the mix. So I just cut the low end everywhere and boost a little bit more of the presence. Without. Again, without the parallel compression, you can hear, like now, Mnatai Shatta, like Lala Salem is in the foreground, and it doesn't sound really mixed. It sounds like a normal recording, you know. But the elements are far away from each other. With the parallel compression, I bring every element into the same space. Like not the same space like they are all in the front, but from the whiteness into the same room. Listen now without. All right, and now we come to the last mic. It's a tube mic that I have with me. I use it always as a room mic. I don't remember anywhere where I placed it, probably just in front of everybody to get the full image of the whole spectacle. Let's listen without effects. With it's very low in volume. I flipped the phase because I had to. It was out of phase. And what I like on room mics, it's not necessary, but how I use it is as the final glue, the final touch. It's like you're making like awesome muffins, and you put chocolate on top of it, and they are cool already, but then you put chocolate, like this tiny chocolate pieces on top of it, like just a little bit, but it looks better, you know? And this is it's like this, or final sauce, or whatever. It's like this final touch to make a full picture out of this live performance. So I'm compressing it really heavily with the Kramer Pi. You can hear that the drum is pushing the compression. So it's a little bit pumping. It's a little bit the method from EDM what they use to make tracks more exciting. The next thing what we're doing here is the Kramer HLS. It's a very nice channel strip. I'm boosting 60 Hz here to get more presence of this drum. And you hear how it's cutting the voice even in the background. Then I'm boosting a little bit of 1.4K. Hell knows why. I can't tell you why I did it. But then I put a lot of top end. And as you saw, I cut the top end by Lala Salem in the mix. And her voice is very present in this microphone, so I bring a bit more of this top end back. And that's an interesting move. So I put the last low cut filter at the end to cut the bass out. So probably this was one of the last moves when adjusting the frequencies again. But what we got now is we have the pumping, the pumping from the compressor, initiated by the drum, but then we cut the drum out of there to have a cleaner sound and bring it back in. And this is emphasizing the rhythm more. You know, you got all the elements now pumping and bring more movement into this live performance. And now we're going to our FX section. That's how it sounds in solo. Whoop, 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 whoop. So let's see what we got here. The first one is the vocal slapback. And for the vocal slapback, I'm using Echo Boy, 180 milliseconds on the left, like a dual echo, and 220 milliseconds on the right, and cutting the top end to not interfere with the top end from the voice, and just using studio tape. I think that's it. Not much here. Who's routed here? All the vocals are routed to the slapback echo, and I love slapback echo because it gives more space and room. It's a super cool effect that you can use on vocals to make them also a little bit fuller sounding. And yeah, play around with slapback echo and have a lot of fun. The second one is the vocal delay. And this is something that I learned to sometimes not push everything into reverb, especially in a live performance, because it can mud up very quick. Though we have a lot of reverb here anyway, but sometimes you can use delay instead of reverb to space the vocalist or whatever element, to give it a specific space. And I'm using H delay, using a quarter echo with a high pass filter and a low pass filter, and it sounds like that. I think it sounds beautiful, and additionally we cut a little bit more of the top end here, a little bit more of the low end, just to control it better. Let's listen without the effects. I feel it sounds lighter and not so dry. Like before, it sounded like recording a live performance as it is, but now with a little bit more of spacing, everything starts to glue together to a beautiful sounding record. Then we have a guitar doubler here. This is what I love to do. This is what I love to do usually, but we're not using it here. So I go and delete it. What we have here is the instrument delay. Very low volume. Just a 8 note, quarter note on 170 BPM. 170 BPM is not the BPM. We didn't track with a click here. Just to give it a little bit more space, but I'm sure you won't really notice, or listener won't really notice if it's not there. Like, no, it's important actually. It gives more depth. It gives more depth. With the processing, we made incredible process to bring everything further, make it sound way better, put it where it is. And with this instrument delay, with this slapback and so on, we space them better in the mix differently. Like this instrument delay, you still have the presence of the sound from the salt and pepper and the rhythm, but it pushed it a little bit more in the background to support the song. Yeah, let's check the small reverb. Just use the IRL from Waves. A very short reverb here. And a little bit of equalization, cutting everything above 6.5K and 350. Now the long reverb is for all the vocals, and one more time especially for the backing vocals, for the male vocal. And people who own these plugins will say, Adi, you are lazy because you just use the standard settings. And I'm not lazy, I just put them there and see if it works. And sometimes it just works out of the box. Sometimes I just want the big reverb and move on. And that's it. With no special anything. We had also a tight deadline, like I had to mix it, I had to deliver it in the next day. So as much as I love plugins, sometimes I just put the one that works, that sounds like a big reverb. And if it doesn't sound too crazy, or like what do I mean with too crazy? When it doesn't sound too artificial, then I just keep it there, cut some low end, top end again, and bring it back in the mix and move on. Without. Nicer, I like it. Let's check it on Tamar, because she loves a lot of reverb. Okay, we can hear all. Now let's turn off all the effects. It's nice, you have a little bit reverb tail in the back and it just adds up beautifully. So we have one more reverb plate that is not used. So let's delete it. It's part of my template. Sometimes I just have to... sometimes. All the time I have templates. So I don't have to create the same vocal effects over and over and over and over and over again. It eats a lot of time. And what I mean with time is your creative time. Your time where you can play with the sound and get creative before your ears get tired, or I don't know, before the time runs out and you have to stop mixing. Many people don't do it on the whole day, or people who do it on the whole day, they have a lot of mixes per day to do. So anyway, whatever you're doing, create a template with your favorite effects, usually short reverb, long reverb, 8-note delay, triple 8-note delay, quarter note delay, and yeah, the rest you can see what you need. I have always vocal dabla with me. It's such a low volume. So it's such a low volume here. You can almost can't hear it. But why am I using vocal dabla? To fatten up vocals, to make them thicker. Don't make it so loud that you can hear the phasing, because then it will sound odd to everybody. But if you bring it a little bit back, you can hear a slight difference. And as a backup, I have always the harmonizer left and right, using the micro shift, little micro shift, I think. No, this is the big micro shift. And this time I just copy pasted it. Usually I use some different settings here. What it's doing, it detunes the vocals a bit, delays it a little bit, makes something different, and then I pan it hard left, hard right, and blend it back in a little bit. You can't even hear it. The idea behind it is to emulate a double vocal take. Usually people track their vocals double in productions and so on. Here it was a live performance, so I can use the harmonizer and thicken up the vocals a little bit. And here we got the full performance. At the end, what I'm doing is always volume automation. I didn't want too precise here, but in the verse I wanted less of the drums. I had to fix a bit, so it will sound strange in the takes that the volume drops. But I don't want that you have to edit these takes, so try to make it work for you. Just see what... Ah yeah, at the end she's clapping. So the claps are also on the vocal mic. These are some issues that you can encounter. But don't worry about it. Sometimes it just is what it is. It's still a live record. So when the claps kick in, I make the volume automation and just put it down. Because you have all the other elements in this track as well. So if it would stay the same level, the drums would be just super loud now, you know? So I can't cut it out because you can hear the claps. I wanted them a little bit clearer, but I can push the volume down minus 10 dB, for example. These are some of the tricky things that you will encounter when recording music like that. Let's go to the master bus. I had the master bus on all the time, and I was mixing on headphones, so I used the Abbey Road Studio 3. The Abbey Road Studio 3 plugin. It's a great plugin to emulate mixing in a room when you don't have a room. Now I have this beautiful Kali audio speakers. Wait, I can show you. And they really help me. See, I don't have the big studio setup that everybody dreams of, but we make it work, and I love it. I got also some stands for them, but the stands don't fit in my car, so what can I do? I now mainly use them. Wait just a second. I now mainly use them to write songs because it feels better when I can feel the bass in my hands. you know the trick, and hear the strings and get the wider field. Anyway, like the setup they are now, I usually test with my ears because I'm used to a couple of records. I'm listening to Bob Marley, for example. I listen to the songs like millions of times, or Deep Purple now, and it sounds great. So I can trust that I have a good balance here. So what I'm doing here is the SSL compressor. System without. The SSL compressor ratio 2:1. Threshold by attack is on 30. Release on auto. This is like a typical SSL compressor setup. And I'm compressing up to 2 dB just to glue it more together. It's doing a fantastic job here. Then I shape more in the mix. I put more subs with the Mark EQ, like 2 dB of subs, and 2.5 dB with the incredible Air Band on 20 kilohertz. This is something that you typically do in mastering. Let's go here. Without. I love the effect it's doing. It brings the track further. Then I love a little bit of tape. It brings the low end again more to the front, the drums, but in a controlled way. It's not like I feel we controlled the drums, the most tricky element in the song, and can now play with it and space it more and make it more punchy, less punchy, give more of the subs, more of the low end, and shape it more. Then I have the Millennia and SEQ, giving a little bit more of, what is it, 56 Hertz, a little bit more of 1.3K, like mid-range. Mid-range is very important. If your mid-range is good, people will love your single, or if the song is good, people will love the single, and if the mid-range is good, you're in the ballpark. This is something that Jack Joseph Puig is preaching, and he's totally right. The mid-range is very important. And then I'm boosting 60K, everything above 16K, a little bit more. Then comes the VEQ. It's like a Pultec style EQ. I'm boosting 20 Hertz by 2.5. And on a broad bandwidth, boosting on 12K around 2 dB. I don't know if it's 2 dB, just number 2. You can see what it is. This one brings the drum and the whole song alive. I really love what it's doing here with it. Now a little bit more EQ. I had too much of 190. So I'm just cutting it with a regular EQ. REQ is perfect. Now playing around with compression. I'm compressing nothing here. I just love, in general, what this compressor is giving, even in bypass. Not in bypass, but just when the audio goes through it. And we're going to the vintage limiter. You see, every step makes it sound more like a record, something that you can put at home and listen to it. Improving the sound. Like, you know, I'm just adding plugins as long as they improve the sound quality. I really love it. And what you can hear now, the salt and pepper went forward again, a little bit more, but it's gluing it more and more together with every element that we are adding here. I'm not even sure if we're compressing something. But now the drums are a little bit too much, and I wanted to test the Vitalizer because I just bought this plugin. And with this one, you can control specific frequency ranges and control them further. Like we had too much of the low end from the drums. So I want the bass more tight and compress only the bass. It works like a multi-band compressor. What you can hear is, wait, I put it one more time. Concentrate only on the drum. Babab, babab. Without the Vitalizer, it feels like it takes more wideness. It's not really in the middle. But with the Vitalizer putting it tight, the bass tight and compressing it, it gets more punchy and controlled. And now I got all the low end from every operation here. Yeah, everything that we did here. But control it more and make it super punchy. Muddy. Without it's muddy. It's like a little bit muddy means it's a bit here, it's a bit there, it's taking the energy, it's not giving the energy. And with it, it's punchy with low end. This was the final touch. Then I'm pushing it through a couple of limiter. But we are good with the level here. Actually, I could make it louder, but why? Then I always check for the volume with Insight. And it's already loud enough. It's 10 LUFS. And the Spotify police would come and put me to Spotify jail because it's too loud. And I don't really care. Because all the other engineers make it loud as well. Before I was like really, oh, it have to be minus 14 LUFS or you will hear something in the sound and so on. And the only thing that people listen in the sound was a phone call like, why is my track not so loud like the other songs? And I investigated because all the other engineers still push it to the maximum. So even when your song is louder than 14 LUFS, you get the penalty, but it still sounds louder. So I just keep it louder. And then I put the Frontier. To put the volume even a little bit down. You can see it's not touching anything. I think it's on. Yeah, threshold is on 0.0. And I go 0.9 dB down here. And this is it. This is how we mix the track. I hope this can be helpful for you. I know it can be very tricky, but this will be real life situations when we start engineering, we won't start in a big studio or in the best performing places or whatever. Yeah, we will have crazy places like this one or go to somebody into the garage and record them. I don't know what you come up with. It's a lot of fun because you learn a lot how sound works, how you can fix sound, what allows you to give a better service to your clients in the future. And because you will complain less and just fix more because you know how to do it. And this is one of the biggest lessons that I learned actually during my time recording in Morocco. Yeah, how to fix these tracks and make them work. Not all of them worked. I know that not all of my mixes that are out there are now the best. We had the crazy timelines. I wasn't the most experienced engineer, but I did my best. People were happy videos went out to 500,000 people, and it worked anyway. So why I'm saying this, it's not bragging, it's be kind to yourself, try always your best, try to improve, and try to make things work the way you get them. And if it really don't work, I had this also sometimes that I recorded vocals really, really bad. I put the condenser mic on the biggest djembe that you can. Djembe is like a big Moroccan drum, African drum, under the vocals. So it's like bum, 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 bum. And the guy was singing. It's the most... it's not so good to put the condenser mic there because the condenser mic will take more of the drums than the vocals. And I couldn't fix it. We released one song like this. It also went out to 50,000 people. But for the second track, we did 2 songs on this day. I asked the vocalist to come in and we can record it one more time and make it cleaner. And it's okay. But yeah, take what you get, do the best out of it, have a great time, ask for help if you need help. You can always go to the Produce Like a Pro Academy community. There is a chat and people will help you, give you feedback. You can send me private messages, DMs if you have any questions, also via social media. As Academy member, hey, you're my friend, man, or girl. Everybody is welcome. If you're interested in mixing our productions, I'm really grateful for it, and I'm there to help too. Yeah, audio engineering, music production, it's a constant learning curve, constant improvement, and there is no ending. This is why I love it. It's like there is always something new to learn, and there is a lot I can learn from you guys as well. Guys and girls, I can learn from you as well. And yeah, thank you for mixing the song. Let me know if you have any questions, and have a great time mixing. Bye bye.